Alright, so one step closer to the fun part of shooting. It's time to do some reloading. Now this process will take this empty, unprimed 16 gauge case into this. This is a loaded, ready to fire 16 gauge case. So don't take any of this advice to heart. Reloading, you got to do your own research and things like that. This is just an example. So when reloading for black powder shotgun loads, the most common starting point is what's called a square load. Now this is a vintage powder and shot dipper, which is made exactly for doing what we're doing here. And you can see it's marked shot on one side in ounces and powder on the other side in drams. So this measures by volume. This does not measure by weight like what you do when you're smokeless reloading. You can see here it's adjustable, so you can turn the volume measurements. So the way that this is going to start off, we're going to do a square load of 1 ounce of shot and 2.5 drams of powder, which seems to be on the lighter side of things, lighter to normal depending on what research you read. So this will make life much, much easier. I got this off eBay, I think, for like 15 bucks. So the total components that you will need: black powder, obviously, double F. Now I've got it in its own container here. Shot, this is 7.5 shot, copper plated. Got it in its own container here. You will need water glass or some form of glue. And then you'll need a series of cards and wads. So here's what is called the nitro card. This goes over the powder. This is what's called a buffer wad. This goes over the nitro card, and the shot goes on top of this. And then you'll have an overshot card, which helps keep all the shot in the case. And then you'll need, obviously, primers. So these are old, but they still go bang. And then you'll need a tool in order to help you load the primer into the case. So this is just a piece of brass that I made. Brass is non-sparking along with bronze, and it fits perfectly into one of these 16 gauge shells. This tool will help not only seat the primer, but it'll also help compress all the wads and the shot and the cards and all that sort of thing as the loading process progresses. And just to give you a little bit of history here, here is a box of primers from the turn from full brass shells into paper shells. I doubt these would go off, but this gives you an idea of what primers of that time period look like. And you can tell, let me see if I can pull one out here for you. Oop. You can tell how much deeper the primer pockets on the original paper shells were. But you can see it still uses the basic construction of what we would consider like a rifle or a pistol primer now versus the 209 primers that we use now. So let's start loading them up. Okay, so first things first, when reloading, not only smokeless but also black powder, it is important to only handle one energetic at a time. So that means primers, we're only handling primers. Black powder is moved far, far and away from this bench, and it is nowhere near this. So we're going to prime one of these shells. It's easy. I chose to use this nice big chunk of tool steel here just because I have it laying around and it's nice and flat. You can use a wooden bench, you can use your kitchen table if you want. But put your primer straight down, line up the primer pocket. This specific brass uses large pistol primers. We're going to drop our brass tool down in there. And we're just going to give it a firm whack with this plastic mallet. Just like the old Lee loaders. Perfect fit. And we just repeat that for the rest of the cases. With all of these cases primed, just going to do a quick little check to make sure that they all have the primers seated deep enough. Sometimes you can have a little bit of an issue doing it this way, but these are perfect. So to make my workflow easier, what I like to do is I have all of the uncharged cases rim up. I work on one case at a time. and dip the powder, just like so. Put the powder into the case, just like that. Immediately put the nitro card on top. Now when you're reloading these brass 16 gauge shells, you'll need 14 gauge wads and cards because the interior of brass shells is much larger than plastic shells. And there you go, there is one charged case with the nitro card on top. Next we put in our cushion wad here. These are vegetable fiber. You'll see conflicting info online as far as lubricating these wads. I don't see the need to. Some people that shoot muzzle loading shotguns lubricate their wads, but again, it basically seems like it's dealer's choice. But we just push this wad down over the nitro card using our little brass tool here. Put in a measure of shot. Again, we're doing 1 ounce. Oops. And this is just copper plated 7.5. Okay, and then we put on an overshot card. Now you can write what this load is on your overshot cards if you really want. I'm only making one load, so I don't really see the need to. And then we'll get these waterproofed. So in waterproofing these shells, we're also sealing this top overshot card in place. That way during recoil of one barrel, the shell that's in the chamber next to it doesn't have the shot card pop off of it and have the shot come out. And this is done traditionally with something that's called sodium silicate. It's also called water glass. It's a specialty adhesive, but you can get it for very, very cheap online. You don't have to use this stuff. You can also use tacky glue. You can use basically any type of household glue. I've seen people use Elmer's. But it's an air curing adhesive, so what that means is that it'll cure in contact with the open air. So we just pick a little bit up with the eyedropper here. I got a fancy little angled eyedropper just because it makes it easier for me. And we just squirt it in there along the edge. And once the entire edge is coated, there you go. So this will cure overnight, and then we're going to go to the range tomorrow and shoot this old girl. Alright, so it's tomorrow out here at the trap range. I have patterned this gun at 7 yards. I'm just going to give this a shot the way I normally do, which is not very good. But here is the loaded black powder ammunition from yesterday. And we're going to see if I can actually hit anything with this. Now, black powder, it's got a lower recoil to it, but it's much smokier, and it's a corrosive salt that builds up in your barrel. So you're going to have to clean this after you shoot it, and you're also going to have to clean these cases after you shoot it very well as well. And yeah, let's see if we can do it. First try, not bad. So, I hope this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how easy it can be to actually bring one of these old relics back to life and actually get it back out here on the range. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully this gives you inspiration for your next project, and happy building.